In this podcast episode, Ben Shapiro interviews Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Born into the Kennedy family, he has faced personal and family tragedies, including the assassinations of his uncle, President John F. Kennedy, and his father, Senator Robert F. Kennedy. Despite personal struggles, including drug addiction and legal issues, he has dedicated his career to environmental advocacy and legal practice. Kennedy has been at the forefront of the environmental movement, setting legal standards that continue to influence policy and advocacy. He has served as a senior attorney for the Natural Resources Defense Council and president of the board for the Waterkeeper Alliance. His commitment to environmental causes has led him to prominent roles in protecting water, clean air, and advocating for environmental justice. Kennedy has been vocal about the Democratic Party's departure from its core values, which he was raised with. He believes that the party has shifted towards serving corporate interests, such as Wall Street, pharma, and the military-industrial complex. His decision to run as an independent candidate in the presidential race stemmed from his desire to call the Democratic Party back to its core values. Kennedy highlights the chronic disease epidemic in the United States as an existential issue. He points out the alarming increase in chronic diseases such as diabetes, autism, obesity, and autoimmune diseases. He attributes these health crises to environmental toxins, toxic food ingredients, and the influence of the food and pharmaceutical industries. He aims to reform agencies like the National Institutes of Health to prioritize studying the environmental causes of chronic diseases. By conducting rigorous scientific studies and holding regulatory agencies accountable, Kennedy believes it is possible to uncover the root causes of these health crises and take legal action against those responsible. In addition to the chronic disease epidemic, Kennedy identifies other existential issues facing the country, such as climate change, polarization, and the state of soils. He emphasizes the need to address these issues, which are exacerbated by a corrupt system that prioritizes corporate interests over public health and environmental sustainability. He plans to tackle these challenges by dismantling regulatory capture, cleaning out corrupted agencies, and restoring a culture of serving the public interest. Kennedy continues by criticizing the upper echelons of agencies like the CIA and EPA, stating that they are controlled by the military-industrial complex and prioritize profit over public service. He highlights instances of corruption and conflicts of interest within these agencies, such as individuals working for Monsanto while in positions of power at the EPA. Kennedy emphasizes the need for a president who can effectively navigate and reform these bureaucratic systems. He criticizes President Trump for not being able to effectively address these issues during his term, citing examples of appointing individuals with conflicts of interest to key positions. Kennedy believes that a president should be able to challenge and reform these agencies to truly drain the swamp. Kennedy advocates for cutting military spending in half, arguing that the current budget is excessive and does not make the country safer. He points out that the U.S. spends 3 times more on its military than China, yet China does not want a hot war with the U.S. Kennedy believes that a more focused and strategic approach to military spending is necessary, rather than maintaining a bloated budget. He also discusses the importance of reevaluating America's tax policy, suggesting that cost-cutting measures in the military budget could help offset any potential tax increases. He argues that a booming economy and more progressive tax policies are essential for sustaining government spending in the long term. Kennedy proposes maintaining a military sufficient to keep sea lanes open and neutral places like the Arctic. He suggests having a 2-strike capacity around the world to punish bad behavior if necessary. Kennedy delves into specific foreign policy issues, such as the conflict in Ukraine and the U.S. relationship with China. He criticizes U.S. involvement in conflicts like Iraq and Syria, which he believes have made America less safe and destabilized regions. He suggests rethinking NATO and focusing on projecting economic power rather than military dominance abroad. Regarding China, Kennedy highlights the economic interdependence between China and the U.S., emphasizing that a hot war is not in either country's interest. He proposes a strategy of projecting economic power and leveraging control over shipping lanes to influence China's behavior. He also stresses the importance of maintaining a strong navy to protect global trade routes and ensure freedom of the seas. Kennedy envisions a foreign policy that prioritizes economic development and stability in other countries rather than military intervention. He draws on his uncle, President John F. Kennedy's approach to foreign policy, which focused on building alliances and promoting economic growth in developing nations. Kennedy believes that projecting economic power and fostering middle-class growth in other countries can lead to more stable democracies and counter the appeal of communism. Kennedy acknowledges the challenges posed by an aging population and the rising costs of Social Security and Medicare. He emphasizes the importance of honoring the contract with individuals who have paid into these programs. He believes that cutting back on chronic diseases and addressing wasteful government spending can help alleviate the strain on these programs. Kennedy expresses concerns about the impact of AI on society, highlighting the potential for manipulation and control. He stresses the need for entrepreneurial freedom to experiment with AI while also regulating it to prevent abuse. He discusses the importance of building communities and fostering connections in a society increasingly driven by technology and social media. Kennedy shares his views on abortion, advocating for a woman's right to choose and bodily autonomy. He acknowledges that every abortion is a tragedy, but believes that the decision should be left to the woman, her spiritual advisors, and those she consults in her life. He emphasizes the complexity of the issue and the need to approach it with nuance and respect for differing perspectives. Kennedy reflects on his father's 1968 presidential campaign and draws inspiration from his ability to bridge divides and defy the odds. He expresses confidence in his own ability to lead the country in a new direction, emphasizing the importance of unity, entrepreneurship, and community building. He believes that with the right leadership, America can overcome its challenges and fulfill its potential.